Hi, Mark.
Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thank you. Very well. Very well. We finally get to touch base.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yes, excited about this. I was having a good listen to your podcast over the last couple of days. It's so
Okay.
nice. What lovely guests you have. It must be so much fun to make.
Well, it absolutely is because I never know what's going to happen. It's just, it goes very left field. And, they
Love
sort
that.
of exactly the same. I'd say to them as I'm saying to you, and that is you take the agenda, really. I'll just
Yeah,
fill in the blanks. I'll just fill in the
great.
blanks.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love those like great little stories and
Mm.
tangents that people go on about swimming. Yeah,
It's
it's good. Exactly what we need to get
excellent.
inspired.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, the Dunkers is a pretty eclectic, crazy bunch. So we've been doing it for 5 years. So we've got some real personalities there at the moment. Um,
Amazing.
so to give you sort of a heads up, I'll just do a brief introduction and then bring you in. We are recording this. Hope you don't mind.
Cool.
Obviously, I need to audio wise because then we can turn it into a podcast.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to sort of let you know, and then you'd be aware. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. And also just to check, how is my sound? Because I do have
You're
headphones if better.
absolutely clear.
Okay,
Absolutely
good.
clear. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we'll take it from the top and just see where it goes, shall we?
Great. Let's do it.
Okay. So welcome back to Dunker's podcast, where cold water meets warm company and community runs as deep as the tide. Today we're going back beyond the dunk. We're into the rhythm, the flow, and the freedom of swimming itself. Joining me is Rebecca Wetten, co-founder of Catch Swim, a digital swim coach platform that's changing how we learn to move through water. Rebecca's a national and international competitor, a Swim England instructor, and someone who believes that swimming should feel as joyful and as natural as breathing. At Catch, she and her team have built a thriving, supportive space where swimmers at every level can learn, train, and connect, all while discovering the fun that first got us in the water. We'll talk technique, confidence, community, and how dunking and swimming share that same current, the simple, empowering joy of saying, yes, I can. So grab your towel, fill your breath, and get ready to catch some inspiration. A very big Dunker's welcome to you, Rebecca. Hi.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So, I've got to ask the quick icebreaker is when was your last cold dunk or swim?
Oh, I have a good one. I did the Hurly Burley last weekend, which is a level water river swim. So
Yeah,
I went to North Wales, Barmouth Beach, got in a fairly cold river, 14 degrees or so, and then it got colder as we swam inland with the tide.
right.
So the water kind of runs off the mountains there. And as I got out, it was probably 10 or 11 degrees. My
Yeah.
face was frozen over. It's probably not much compared to what your listeners are used to, but for me, after a warm summer, I'm a little less acclimatized than I would like to be.
Well, let me make a confession. First of all, we were down at the Hurly Burley. A couple of the Dunkers were taking part, and in the intro, the guy that was superbly organised, I must say, superb organised event. He said very fleetingly, "We've got Rebecca here from Catch," and I
Yeah.
thought, "Oh, that's weird. I'm supposed to be podcasting with Rebecca." So I came looking round for you, but because you don't all have badges on your chest saying I'm Rebecca from Catch, then I couldn't obviously sort of make acquaintance. But it was a great event, and I was very envious not to do it because in me you've got a very captive audience. I'm just learning to do the crawl because I've got my first triathlon event scheduled and paid for next year. So I feel as though my arm's sort of twisted up my back, really. I've got to do it now. And it was just so timely. This is just so timely.
Perfect. Well, I'll give you a bunch of tips while we talk today, Mark. And what's the triathlon you're doing?
It's the Abersoch Triathlon. It's the sprint. They do the Olympic in the morning and then the sprint in the afternoon. So the standard sort of 750, 20K, and then 5K run. And honestly, I'll level with you. It's the swimming that really I've got my anxieties about, and because it's just because I don't know. I'm not sure I like my face under the water. Although a swim crawl every day in the ocean, it's still I can't get my head together around in swimming pools because I find the cold water really off-putting. But
Yeah.
that's maybe because I'm a dunker. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. A lot of adults go through this.
Do
It's
they?
the face in the water is a super common barrier. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can talk more about that for sure.
Okay. Okay. Well, if even if we don't get a chance to do it all today, then I'll catch you offline because we now know each other.
I see what
So,
you did
so
there.
where did catch swim start?
Yeah, so Catch started as a community here in Bristol, where I live. I arrived in Bristol as someone who loves outdoor swimming, but I really love like getting my face in and doing a bit of distance. And there were some wonderful wild swimming groups who would go dunking in beautiful places, or sometimes less beautiful places, but really cheerful, really wonderful community. But I was also looking for a group of swimmers who were up for, doing a bit of distance, maybe doing 45 minutes an hour of swimming together. And I couldn't really find anywhere that seemed to work for me. So I started assembling friends. And what they were saying was, I like the idea of swimming, but I find it pretty hard. Like, I find front crawl covering distances like quite difficult. And it didn't seem like they had found anyone who was able to sort of meet them where they're at, which is they could swim. They didn't need to learn from scratch, but they really needed to work on their technique. And they ultimately wanted to get fitter with their swimming. So I thought, there's a gap here. And I'm just going to, being someone who has a coaching qualification, who comes from a swimming background, I'm just going to hold some cohorts, some sessions. And so I started instructing like 3 different groups. One were learning front crawl pretty much from scratch. The
Right.
next were had signed up for their first triathlon or open water swim. So that's your group, Mark. And then the third group were like they were wanting to dial up their swimming in some way. So they'd done a few competitions. They could swim some decent distances front crawl, but they wanted to dial up their front crawl technique, maybe swim further or faster or more efficiently. So, working with these 3 groups, I realized that what people were really valuing was having a technique to learn that they could just focus on, like a step by step journey with front crawl technique. And they also really valued having some structure and variety when they went to the pool or went to an open water spot and wanted to train, wanted to practice. They didn't want to be doing the same thing over and over again
Right.
because that
Right.
makes it boring, but also means you struggle to progress.
Yeah.
So, Catch then, fast forward to what we did 2 weeks ago, which is we launched an app that combines up the supportive community that always existed at the heart of Catch, but also a personalized set of video lessons that people can learn the techniques of front crawl, and a personalized training plan that meets them where they're at. And yeah, we've essentially built an algorithm based on all the swimmers we worked with, hundreds of swimmers over the last year. We went from a super manual process of me just getting to know people and swimming with them often and looking at their swimming and giving them a little baseline test and writing on Google Docs what they needed to do and linking them to YouTube videos. We've now got a system that does that automatically. So a piece of technology, an algorithm that takes data from a swimmer and it presents them with a personalized swimming plan that meets them where they're at, and a video lesson series that unlocks week on week. So yeah, that's kind of what we've landed on with Catch.
So obviously you've sort of made this transition from, excuse the phrase, pen and paper through
Yeah.
now to almost a sort of an AI solution.
Yeah.
Do people therefore have to, well, they're on there, that whichever of those 3 levels they're at, do they then get a friend to record them and then you capture that information and put it into your algorithm, or is it just something that they can immerse themselves within what you're telling them, they get better at it, and then they come back for the next stage? Or is it neither of those?
It's a good question. So, in the onboarding flow, when someone joins the app, we ask them a whole series of questions to figure out what their lifestyle's like, who they are, what motivates them, what their goals are, and to give us a sense of their experience and ability with swimming. And then we set them a very simple baseline challenge that's tailored to the answers of that form.
Okay.
And off the back of that, we can ascertain like so much about who they are, what they need. And I think what we've realized is that we have a number of different pathways on the app, right? So in the back end of the app, a triathlete's plan, a first-time triathlete would look very, very different from someone who's wanting to learn swimming, to swim smoother for fun. Yeah. And their training plan would look completely different from someone who signed up for a 10K river swim in North Wales. So there's so many different pathways on the app, and it took so much time and effort to build. But as a result, no person has the same journey on the app. So it's all completely unique to them. And that's another reason why sort of creating a piece of technology like this enables you to help so many people at once, right? It's great to be seeing sort of the numbers of people who can transform their swimming through going through this journey. But the other thing that we do is we're trying to get to know people, so people chat with me through the app. So I'm constantly answering questions, chatting with people as they go, getting a sense of who they are and what they need, what extra support they might need, and then also the app learns from them. So based on their behavior, based on how many sessions they're ticking off, or how hard they've found them, or just how they're feeling, we take that info and then the app adjusts. So their journey changes as often as it needs to based on how they're doing.
Okay, so not only are they part of a sort of a community of lots of people doing this at different stages at the same time, but it's really sort of personalized, as though it's not as though, it's absolutely tailored to them.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
And presumably that will influence the progression speed, the different things that you as an instructor or as a guiding team are asking them to do, and effectively what barriers you expect them to break and get over, and milestones achieved.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So your community, obviously, I'm going to keep coming back to this because I'm a community man. That's what dunkers are. So the community is really important, because presumably we swimmers, and I'll sort of include myself for the sake of this podcast, we swimmers can interact with each other as well, can we, through your app?
Yeah, that's right. And I've even got examples of where I've sort of match made within the community. Okay. And I don't mean that in a romantic
I knew there was an upside to this.
As yet, no successful relationships have been formed to catch. But some swimming events, you sort of need to do it as a team.
Yeah.
So we know, like, I know who is swimming similarly to other people. So I can kind of benchmark like where people are at, what their goals are. You know, I know a lot about people, right, in the community. Yeah. So if someone comes to me and says, hey, like, I really want to do this event, but I need a partner to do it with. It's a safety thing. They mandate it. Okay. One example is this Finland downhill swim in the north of Finland, where you swim.
I'm just going to interrupt it. A downhill swim in water.
Yeah. Sorry, I should explain that. Downhill swim is where you've got the tide with you. It's sort of what that phrase is sort of shortened to.
Right.
Which is quite sweet. But it's this idea that you're sort of swimming down a hill because it's made that much easier by the tide.
Like the hurly-burly.
Exactly. The hurly-burly is a great example of that. Okay. So you're whooshed along by the tide. So your preparation needs to be like, you need to be able to swim a certain distance, but you don't need to train quite so intensely because you've got this tide helping you along. So
Right.
this informs what we sort of give people in their training plans and how we prepare them. So this Finland downhill swim, it is like the Glastonbury tickets of the swimming world, right?
Really? Yeah.
It is so popular. You need to book your ticket within 5 minutes of registration going live, or you've missed it for the year and you need to wait
Wow.
until next year. So prior to this event registration going live, two guys came to me separately and said, "Hey, I really want to do the swim, but I've got no one to do it with. Can you help me?" And I'm like, I look at these two guys and they're so similar, like in so many ways. I know both of them as characters. I know they'd be friends. I know that they're at a similar stage with their swimming. They're both really committed and motivated to swimming these sort of longer distances. And I'm like, you guys should just go for a swim together. You don't live too far apart, different counties, but not too far apart. Meet in the middle, go for a swim. If you like each other, let's team you up and train you together for this Finland swim. And they got on like a house on fire. So they're now teaming up for this Finland downhill swim. And yeah, we match made that within the community. And then
Oh, yeah.
one.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I think the thing is, there's a real correlation there, as I intimated a few moments ago, between the dunkers, because the dunkers we get in the water and we do it every day, as you know. It's very, very off-putting to some people, not because they don't like water, but the whole of the environment. You know, you're getting changed on a beach with people you don't know. You're going into water, which is usually, I mean, at this time of the year today, it was 12 degrees. The outside temperature was 6, and we were in for sort of probably 10 minutes or so. Not that you have to stay in that long, but it's about being able to encourage people exactly the same way as these two guys on the Finnish downhill swim, I guess. Uh,
100%. It's one
yeah,
of the principles of building a habit around swimming and
yeah,
getting into the water is make it social.
yeah,
Um, Making it sociable means you're far more likely to do it more often. You're far more likely to associate it with lots of positive emotions. And we all know that, like, as human beings, we crave connection
yeah,
around the activities that we love doing. So, although as an experience, if you are, training with us on catch and you're based in an area where as yet we don't have many other people, we always urge people just like go and find your local swim community. If you can't find it through catch, if you can't find it through our community, there's so many incredible groups who are
right,
out getting in the water.
yeah.
Go and do it and link your outdoors activity, your sport, with joy and connection and community, and you're onto a winner.
Because I was going to say, I want you just to walk me through, just for a moment, into what you think are the mental benefits of being able to do this. Because are they the same as dunking? I'd be really interested to hear. So, what's your sort of take on this?
Yeah, I'm actually going to switch hats and talk about this from the perspective of a non-profit that I work on here in Bristol and North Somerset, which is called Reclaim the Sea.
Okay.
And we do swimming sessions for people with refugee and asylum seeking backgrounds. It's a trauma informed program. So often people come and they haven't ever swum or have not swum in a long time. And many of them will be experiencing multiple layers of trauma. So with this experience, what I've noticed is running swimming sessions with people who are going through potentially severe mental illness or social isolation or multiple layers of trauma or a combination. What I noticed to be the benefits are, number one, this sense of agency, like this sense of overcoming something challenging. Oh my gosh, like doing something that you didn't think you could do, what that unlocks is I cannot measure the impact of that.
Right.
So an example would be our program that we ran last summer. A woman came out of having learnt to swim with Reclaim the Sea, and she immediately signed up for a computer course. And she had never seeked anything like that before. And I'm not saying that it was a direct cause, or that you can necessarily know what the combination of factors were, but I just noticed that people who learn to swim, there are and do swimming sessions back to back, week on week, cold water, outdoors, like all the challenges that come with that, faff. If you stick to that and see progress and see transformation, it can do wonders of knock-on effects for your wider life and your sense of self-confidence and your sense of self-worth.
Yeah.
And connected to that, I've learned from working on Reclaim the Sea that trauma is often held by the body. So if you're someone who's experienced trauma, to be able to do something like lie on your back and float in the water and look at the sky is an extraordinary thing to reconnect with your body in a positive way, and that can actually help you heal. So that's proven, that's well researched now. And a really important aspect of like blue health is if you're looking to heal or you've been through something that is traumatic, basically just the experience of floating in the water, being weightless and reconnecting with your body in a positive way is a really brilliant way to do that. Yeah. So yeah, and I think we all know about the positive impact of movement, right? And we know what that does to our mental health. We know what that does for, you know, all those good things from endorphins through to, you know, all the positive chemicals that happen in your brain, particularly with cold water. It's the perfect cocktail of your endorphins, your serotonins, your, you know, like that lovely cocktail of things in your brain that just sort of takes you out of the things that are causing you to feel stress or anxiety or pressure. So yeah, I think it's well understood with the outdoor swimming community in general that like being in water and moving in water and even just floating in water can be transformative for your mental state.
Absolutely, it's because as you're just saying about the chemical inputs, the dopamine that you get from just going into water, and then for us, I guess we can really measure this. We can see so much the sort of serotonin hit about being with different people and building that community because we're all craving that. I love this expression, the sort of the blue health that. Presumably, that's something that you sort of hold in your mind all the time. It's yeah,
definitely. I think it's fascinating. I think it's been a really under-researched thing.
Yes.
I think if you look at the UK and how we've you know how we have valued swimming, it feels like it's really dropped down the agenda for, you know, if we look politically, right, like how is money being spent? It's certainly not being spent on swimming facilities. No. Like it's very rare to have somewhere like Clevedon, where I'm based. Clevedon on the coast is a tidal pool. It's next to the Severn Estuary. It's absolutely incredible, 250 meters long, amazing community, go and swim there. New Year's Day we had like 300 people in the water wearing their bubble hats. It was a beautiful thing. It's a 24-hour, you know, freely accessible to anyone. You don't have to pay any money to go there, and it's so safe as well. Like it's a way for people to get in the water who would be mightily afraid of getting in the Severn Estuary. Understandably. One of the biggest tidal ranges in the world. So yeah, like going and swimming on the coast, somewhere like Clevedon, somewhere like Weston-super-Mare, it's a terrifying thing for anyone. So to have a tidal pool sitting there that is freely accessible is amazing, and it's entirely community volunteer run. It does get some funding from councils, but like the bare minimum. So those kinds of spaces are precious, and I really hope that more research and more awareness into blue health is going to finally lead the government to actually funding like inner city spaces for people to swim. You know, inland water. It's very tough to find a wild swimming spot inland, actually. It's free. That's actually still really, really hard to find. And obviously we've got the coast, which is brilliant. But yeah, you just notice this real difference in attitudes, awareness and education around swimming safely outdoors. Coastal communities typically have a much better understanding, awareness, and level of education and experience of swimming, and sort of understand the risks that are involved. It's always improvements need to be made, but generally much stronger on the coast. But inland, you've got this real gap, and you've often got fear
Yes,
associated with getting in the water outdoors. So I'd love
absolutely.
to see that blue health piece and the research around that help to improve funding and education and just opportunities for access for more people to swim.
Yeah, because ironically, we live on an island, and what is it? It's barely 100. Even if you're is it Banbury that's the middle of the country? If you're somewhere like that, it's barely 100 miles to a coast. It's we've and that's the sort of the farthest you'll be. So, as you say, it's crazy that we're not being able to do more with it. Where did the Blue Health come from? Who owns that phrase, or who
I
started it?
wonder. I don't know that. It would be interesting to go and have a look and see like who sort of really got that going.
Yeah.
I actually, yeah, I'm sort of helping out with I'm sort of contributing to the publication of a book all about blue health at the moment. So
Okay.
it's like it just seems to be non-stop growing in
Yeah. Yeah.
like the
Yeah. Yeah.
public's interests, and I think it's at that sweet spot where, especially during the pandemic, I feel that's when blue health became much more of an area of focus for people. I think people were, they weren't able to use swimming pools, so getting into the water in the outdoors was a sensible thing to do, and it was a neat way of being able to sort of, in those periods of the sort of semi lockdowns where you could go outdoors with people or with a person, getting
Absolutely.
into
Yeah.
cold water was just wow, what an amazing experience during that
Yeah.
time. Otherwise deeply distressing or highly boring,
Yeah. Yeah.
depending on who you
Because
were.
Netflix made a documentary, didn't they, about the blue zones, or the blue with the 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 specific places. I think Singapore was one around the world, which were blue zones, and I think that really stuck into the psyche of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah,
It's interesting, isn't it, how Netflix is sometimes the driver of like that
absolutely,
something becoming a big deal for the
yeah,
general public around the world,
yeah,
becoming
yeah,
a bit of a sensation. I remember when, well, I mean, actually, not Netflix, but a documentary that I think really sort of shook things up was Blue Planet, was David
yes,
Attenborough.
yeah,
That sudden flip that you saw of people becoming aware of plastics, ocean plastics, and plastic pollution, game changer, absolute game
absolutely,
changer.
yeah.
So yeah, the impacts of pop culture on how people view the ocean, what they care about, and I think that's amazing. I'd love to see a blue health, like a real blue health focused equivalent of that. Actually, do you want to pitch that to Netflix, or should
Well, I was
I?
going to say let's do it together.
Together?
It's you're always stronger together. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It's but we can say. I mean, the whole point about it is that yes, as you say, even that Attenborough thing, it sort of went from disbelief to complete incredibility, and to absolute anger. It was a massive motivator. So what's next for Catch? What's next for Catch?
Yeah. So Catch is only 2 weeks old in its current form.
Wow.
So yeah, the app is new. So we've got approaching 300 people using it
Mhm.
now, which is great. So we're seeing that people who know about it are interested, and they're
Yeah.
like, what is this new app? I haven't really seen something quite like this. So people are checking it out. The next things that we want to do are just really tell lots of people about it. So
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
word out there more and more. So
Yeah.
the more people who know about it, the better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're looking at various different partnerships with um, publications that are focused on outdoor swimming, through to uh, events, swim holidays. Basically, we just want to like be supporting people in the spaces where our swimmers are. So we want to. I mean, I'd love to do a road trip around the UK next summer and drop into like any swimming community that will
I was
have
going.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say leisure centres and play, because this is where young kids, well, old, young people get really stimulated, and to have a follow on, to have the ability to sort of walk away from the swimming pool on your phone and then go into the app. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a seamless transition that just holds them in their attention, doesn't it?
You're totally right. I think we need to be, need to have a poster up in every leisure centre, ideally. We
Yeah,
need to be running drop-in sessions where people can just turn up and just try out the app and talk to me and get a bit of coaching and just get that experience of what it's like to sort of have a digital tool that supports you on your swimming journey and transformation. And I guess it's those people who they're ready to learn and they want to have some autonomy in that, some ownership over that. So I guess it's finding those people who are, yeah, they're motivated.
yeah,
They don't necessarily want someone mandating that they have to turn up to this pool at this time,
absolutely.
to
Yeah,
learn from this
yeah.
person. It's like, people who just want to dip into something.
It's that coach in your pocket thing,
It's
isn't
that.
it? It's just that it's your agenda, it's your ambition, it's your desire, but you've got a coach in your pocket, and isn't that reassuring?
It
That's
is.
that's
Yeah.
so
And I think for us, the other really important thing is really getting to know the people who are using Catch or want to use Catch and ask them very honest questions about what do you need from us that you aren't already getting
yeah,
and what do you really value about this. So really developing the product is a never ending thing. So
right,
you
right.
can never stop making it more fun to use or adding in additional features or stripping it back and simplifying it. Like there's so many things we can do with the product. So yeah, that's where my co-founder is brilliant. He just created something yesterday that's going to
That
be,
will
yeah,
is that
that's Will.
will yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, my co-founder Will is he's very technical and
Okay,
just loves building, like
right.
loves the sort of technical tweaking, shipping new features, testing them out. So yeah, we've got a new feature that he's just cracked yesterday that's going to make I guess the summary I'll give you for now, because I can't say exactly what it
No,
is
no, no.
it just makes the experience of going and doing your swimming session so much easier. And anything we can do to reduce those barriers that face people who want to go and swim more is brilliant, because there's no denying it is on the more faffy end versus something like jogging.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah,
yeah, always finding ways to make it a more easy and fun experience for people. So a really big part for me is just talking to people. Like I spend all day just talking to people who are using Catch, want to use Catch, and just asking them those questions just to get to know
yeah.
what they need to see from us, how we can improve.
Okay, well, questions. Now, the one thing I always, you might or might not know, but on the Dunkers podcast, we always, a guest will leave a question off air for the next one. So I'm not going to tell you who's left the question for you, but what's the most frequent piece of advice that people ask you for, and what's the answer?
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is a good one because instantly I jump into what are the challenges that people have with front crawl that they're always asking me,
Yeah,
right? So it's what makes front crawl feel hard? And I would say the number one thing that people ask me about is breathing. How can
absolutely.
I breathe more easily when I'm
Yeah,
swimming front crawl? And my answer to that is, I mean, there's a multi-layered thing that you can do. You can basically go on a bit of a journey with your breathing. So what I tend to do is I ask, what is your head and body position looking like at the moment? How is it feeling? So the first way to improve your breathing is not actually to improve your breathing, it's to improve your head and your body position when you're swimming front crawl. So what that means is that many people will have their head up a bit too high. And that goes back to the instinct that you mentioned right at the start of the call, Mark, which is people actually don't instinctively love putting their face
yeah,
firmly into the water. It goes against some instinct. So what I would suggest to people is put your face into the water more firmly. Really make sure your eyes are down, make sure your ears are touching the surface of the water, And what you'll notice is your body position sort of corrects a little bit. We're like a seesaw. So
Yeah.
if our head is high, our legs typically sink. And that's a really common challenge for people, particularly people who do other sports like running or cycling. So
Yeah.
having these heavy legs that then cause all this drag and make everything feel hard, and that includes the breathing. So if you fix the head position, you lift the legs up a bit higher, it's pretty amazing just based on that alone how much easier something like breathing feels, because you're less out of breath, it's less tiring.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a quick simple
No,
fix.
that's well. On that, I shall make a testimonial and come back to you, because that is exactly. I'm just so common to everybody else who's trying to learn front call, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's
Spread the
probably
word.
yeah.
Head and body position, that's
Head
it.
and body position. Yeah, okay. So, if you were to swim or dunk anywhere in the world with somebody, who would it be and where?
Oh my goodness, wow. I've been thinking a lot about the Mediterranean lately. I think it's where we go into the season of, the days are suddenly a lot shorter, and Bristol here in the city feels suddenly much more grey than it was a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
So for me, the flip change of that is the Mediterranean. Um, I saw something flash up on my social media. It was like this gorgeous, like it was a house, and it was like right on the edge of the water in mainland Greece. I don't know the exact spot, but it was like you open the door and you're basically in the ocean. You've almost got to watch out because you might just walk through the door and just fall in. But
lovely.
that's the dream, is
Yeah,
like if you could be just looking at the ocean all day long, if you could just dive from your front door into the ocean, that'd be the dream. And the person I'd choose to do it with is my co-founder and also my partner, Will. Yeah,
there you
he's
go.
my partner. And like I think I've been thinking about the way that we've worked so hard and incredibly long days for the last year. Like it's very common that will be doing a 16-hour day, just head down, working on the app. I'm probably not far off that. And 6 or 7 days a week working, because it's like it's how it is when you're really excited about creating something new, and you just
Absolutely.
yeah,
And,
it's just the two of you. So you got to. So I'd love
and I
to
can
like reward him with a trip to the Mediterranean.
absolutely. I was going to say, I can tell you're excited about it. Well, can I just say thank you very much? I hope that you follow and you actually find your dream, because you deserve it. It's a great thing that Catch is doing, honestly. And it really isn't sort of flippant when I say you have got a convert since we met. And what, only a couple of weeks ago, when you responded to, oh, well, yeah, I'll have a chat with you. Then it's sort of it's like an awakening for me. Let's say that. So it's been really, really good fun, and thank you very much indeed. I'd like you to come back if you would and tell me,
I would love to.
if the app's only 2 weeks old. I'd like to sort of crack you and have another chat when you've got 2, 3, or 4 months of real sort of depth of info and people's feedback, because that's clearly what's really important.
I
Yeah,
would love to. That would be great. I've enjoyed this so much. You've got
good.
great energy, Mark. We all need
Well,
people like you who are
yeah,
just like embracing the joy of swimming and being outdoors. And community. It's great. I love what you're doing with this podcast.
excellent. And if you ever find yourself in Abersock, you just look us up, please. It's
I will add that to my 2026 road trip to swimming communities around the UK for sure. I'd love
absolutely. Well, until then, make the Dunkers spirit go with you. And thank
to.
you again. Pleasure.